Hey everyone, welcome back. So have you ever, pored over language books, memorized literally all the grammar rules, aced every single vocabulary test, and then you step out into the real world only to feel like you sound, well, kind of like a robot? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. It's a massive struggle when you're speaking a new language. You're trying to bridge that gap between textbook accuracy and that natural, effortless flow of native conversation. Well, today, we have a fantastic explainer lined up for you. We're going to break down the secret to natural spoken English by moving entirely beyond the textbook.
So, let's kick things off with this big question. Why does textbook English sound so unnatural? I mean, textbooks are fantastic for teaching us structure, right? They give us the bricks. But informal speech, the way people actually talk to each other at a coffee shop or, in the break room, that requires mortar. It requires what I like to call glue words. These are the small, everyday conversational fillers and amplifiers that native speakers use constantly, without even thinking about it. They are absolutely crucial. They're the key to taking your English from stiff and formal to relaxed and authentic.
Section 1. The Natural Speech Secret. Transforming formal sentences into fluid conversations.
Section 2. Showing certainty and agreement. Adding conviction to your words.
Okay, let's dive into this. To uncover this natural speech secret, we're going to look at 20 incredibly common conversational words, starting with certainty. You see, in informal speech, you don't just state facts, you share feelings, you agree, you validate the person you're talking to. We've got words like actually, definitely, exactly, really, sure, and right. Now, if you look at their Hindi meanings, like Vastav main for actually or Bilkul sahi for exactly, you probably already know what these translate to. But the real magic happens when you see how they act as conversational amplifiers. In a textbook, you might just say yes. But in real life, adding these specific words shows the listener that you're fully engaged and absolutely on the same page as them. Let's look at some specific examples.
Imagine someone asks why you didn't answer your phone. If you just say, I was busy, well, it's grammatically correct, right? But it sounds incredibly blunt. It almost sounds a bit defensive or even rude. But if you say, actually I was busy, that one tiny word completely changes the tone. It instantly softens the correction. It signals to the listener, hey, I'm just sharing the reality of my situation with you, rather than just, throwing a cold fact at them.
And this brilliantly illustrates the power of enthusiasm in informal speech. If someone makes a great point, you are right, is fine. But say it with me. Exactly, you're right. Do you feel the difference there? Using exactly instantly builds a connection. It's enthusiastic agreement. It tells the other person not just that their statement is factually correct, but that you strongly align with their perspective. It's a real game changer for building rapport in any conversation.
Here are a few more ways to weave certainty into everyday chats without sounding robotic. Instead of just saying, I will help, you say, I'll definitely help you. It provides immediate reassurance. Instead of that is nice, say that's really nice. It just adds so much warmth. Sure, I can help is way more natural and casual than a super formal yes. And tacking right onto the end of a sentence with a bit of a questioning tone, that is a classic native speaker move. It invites the listener to agree with you and keeps that conversational volley going.
Section 3. Softening your English sentences. Sounding polite and thoughtful.
Now, while the last group was all about amplifying certainty, sometimes sounding natural means embracing a bit of hesitation. Directness can honestly sometimes come across as aggressive in English. Softeners make you sound polite, thoughtful, and, approachable. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how big this toolkit is. We're talking words like basically, probably, honestly, maybe, pretty, though, guess, kind of, and well. These are literal lifesavers in informal conversation. Why? Because they give you time to think. When you're speaking off the cuff, you're not drafting a perfect essay, right? These softeners allow you to navigate a sentence while you figure out exactly what you want to say, making you sound completely natural in the process.
Let's contrast a blunt declaration with a softened one. Announcing, I am tired is a pretty dramatic, absolute statement, but adding just two words, I'm kind of tired, takes the edge right off. It makes the statement feel so much more casual. It's the difference between announcing you need to go to sleep immediately and just casually mentioning that you're feeling a little drained. It's nuanced, and it's exactly how real people talk. So the absolutely crucial point here is how these words change your relationship with your listener. If someone asks you a question and you just say, I don't know, it can sound like a flat, unhelpful denial, like you're shutting the door on the conversation. But by simply adding one word, honestly, I don't know, you transform that flat denial into a sincere, vulnerable expression.
You're telling the listener, hey, I'm being transparent with you. It keeps the interaction warm, even when you don't actually have the answer.
These words help us express thoughts when we aren't 100% certain, which, let's face it, is most of the time in casual conversation. Basically, it's simple is a fantastic way to summarize a complex topic quickly. Saying, he'll probably come or maybe tomorrow adds essential, realistic nuance compared to a firm yes or no. And it's pretty good is the ultimate casual compliment. Not overly dramatic, just a solid, natural endorsement.
And we definitely can't forget these perfect conversational pauses. You can tack though onto the end of a sentence to lightly introduce a contrasting thought, like, I liked it though. You can give a verbal shrug with, I guess so, when you're reluctantly agreeing with someone. Or you can use well, as in, well, let's start, to smoothly transition into an action. Native speakers use these constantly, literally all the time, to buy just a fraction of a second of thinking time.
Section 4. Navigating the conversation flow, moving between topics effortlessly. A massive part of informal speech is how you pivot between ideas. In reality, conversations drift, they get off track, and you need tools to move between topics effortlessly without those awkward silences. There is no word better for this than anyway. It's like the ultimate magic pivot word, and what's fascinating is its dual use. First, you can use it to push a conversation forward, translating roughly to "VSB," like anyway, let's move on. It politely wraps up the current thought and initiates the next step. Second, you can use it to smoothly dismiss a topic, like "Khair." Anyway, forget it. If a conversation gets weird or confusing, throwing in "anyway" is basically your get-out-of-jail-free card to completely change the subject naturally.
Section 5. Mastering informal casual contractions, the ultimate shortcut to fluency.
Okay, if you really want to strip away that academic stiffness, you have to realize that native speakers love shortcuts. Sometimes sounding truly natural means intentionally getting just a little bit messy with your words. In a textbook, you learn I'm going to eat. On the street, it's I'm going to eat. You learn do you want to come? In reality, it's do you want to come? Mashing these words together perfectly mimics the authentic rhythm of spoken English. And when you can't think of a specific noun, just use a broad term like stuff, as in I have to do office stuff. It's fast, it's highly efficient, and it is perfectly acceptable in casual, everyday setting.
So, what is the big, core takeaway from this whole explainer? Embrace the messiness of natural speech. The goal of learning a language is not to be a flawless walking grammar textbook. The goal is human connection. It's about feeling comfortable yourself and making the person you're talking to feel comfortable. By using these glue words, by softening your sentences, showing enthusiastic agreement, and using those casual shortcuts, you are building your ultimate fluency toolkit.
So I'm going to leave you with this one final thought. Are you going to start using these words? Right? Notice what we did there? We threw in a gonna and tacked a right onto the end. It's casual, it's engaging, and it's exactly how real English sounds. So here's my challenge to you today. Pick just 3 of these words and try dropping them into your next conversation. You will honestly be amazed at how much more natural you sound. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep practicing.